Our guest, Bill Adler, the author of Outwitting Critters. Let's go to Linda. Linda, you're up next. What's your question for our guest, Linda?
Well, I've had a raccoon problem this past week. The mama raccoon come up this downspout, crawled up in the overhang of the house, got into the vents, and then had babies up there. And then now the babies were in the wall,
Oh,
crying
my
and
gosh.
crying and crying, and the mother trying to get to them and tearing my house apart.
Oh, wow.
But I finally had to call professionals to come out and get them, set a trap for the mother, and then get the baby out of the wall. And then just this morning, we got the other baby that got into the return air duct of the furnace.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
boy, you really do have a problem.
So we've got new vents, new metal vents on the outside of the house, but how do you prevent them from coming back or other ones coming? What brings them in the first place? How
Well, food, basically food. Now, there's a lot of food for raccoons all over, but you have to make sure that none of your neighbors have dog food or cat food left out, that your garbage cans are really well sealed.
they're in the shed. Mhm.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll look for your neighbor's trash. So that's the first thing to do. And it's probably the most important thing to do. Water is second. If you have any parts of your yard or driveway where there's water pooling,
Nope.
okay.
No.
Now you're running.
Is
out
that
of
why they're
options.
attracted to the downspout? Because of the water, maybe? I mean, could there be
possible.
any water backup or anything?
Also, we found out they've been in here for like a month or 2 months. They've been in here for quite a while.
Wow.
And the mother was using my attic as
Oh.
their little bathroom, and they go to the same spot over and
Oh,
over.
gross.
And yeah, it was really bad.
There's a technique.
I thought I had a leak in my closet, and it wasn't the rain leak at all. It was the mama.
gross. Linda.
So I've really
Gosh.
been stressed out.
You've
big
had a
time.
rough time.
Yeah, but hopefully they're gone. But then I also had birds in the front of my house. I got raccoons in the back door, birds in the front door.
Do you live out in the country
No,
or
I
something?
live in town. In town.
In a wooded area
Nope.
in town?
Nope.
That's unbelievable.
Yep. They're like starlings, the blackbirds, and they pulled out those little oval vents and got up in and built nests. And I've taken them, we got them out and put a metal vent on it, and they keep coming back, moving down, just moving right down to the next ones.
Try putting some mothballs behind the vent.
Okay.
Not too many, because naphthalene can be flammable in high concentrations, but 5 or 6 should probably be okay.
5 or 6.
And they'll last a long time, and raccoons don't like it.
They don't like it either.
Yeah, and
No.
Linda, he's got a whole chapter in his book on raccoons, okay?
I'm interested in reading it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks a lot,
They're
Linda.
a big problem, and they can be rabid.
But
Yeah,
I
so you gotta
knew,
be careful.
I knew they could be, so
Thanks a lot.
thank you.
Keep
Bye.
keep looking up. That's
Oh,
all
I will.
have to
I'm
say.
listening. Thanks.
Oh my gosh, I wouldn't want to have her problems.
Yeah, that's really...
We had mice, but mice. I'd rather have mice than have that problem where you got raccoons going to the bathroom above you and your ceiling. Oh, gross. The things you learn on Winsenberg on the weekend. Jerry, you're up next. Jerry, you have a suggestion for us. What's your tip to get rid of a critter?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm calling from Missouri.
Great.
And the tip is we have a lot of moles in our garden,
Right.
and they're just a very nuisance. And what we found out is chocolate X-Lax.
Really?
Yeah. They ice themselves to death.
Ugh. Are you serious?
No, I'm really serious. That's what we've been putting down. Every hole that we find, we've been putting some chocolate X-Lax down them. And then it was just awful.
That's amazing.
And
Does it result in any
well, we just
smell
started
or-
this, and there isn't very many holes left now.
Okay, but aren't any repercussions? I mean, you're not smelling dead moles out in the yard or
No, not yet.
nothing like that.
But hopefully, that's going to do the trick.
That got rid of it. That's quite a tip, Jerry.
And then also on some of your plants, like beans and stuff, sprinkle some cayenne pepper, and then the rabbits and the bugs don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then also...
Does that affect the plant at all?
No. Human urine is really good.
Yeah, we've
Because-
heard that.
Yeah.
And if there are colleges nearby, you can get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd tell you about the
Yeah.
chocolate X-Lax.
Thanks a lot, Jerry. That's
Okay.
quite a tip.
All right, just a minute.
The moles run deep in my garden because they fall in old pocket gopher holes.
Oh.
And I tried trapping them. I got a few, but I didn't get enough. And as far as aeration, I don't believe moles are too good on aeration because wherever they've been working, we don't have worms coming up, night crawlers, the castings.
Yeah.
So I think the worms are the best aerators.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
It's okay.
Interesting, Bill. You got all sorts of different
Yeah, well,
things
there'll
here.
be a new edition, so it's good to know.
See, this is good for you now, Bill. Pick up all these tips, okay? Our guest is Bill Adler. He's the author of Outwitting Critters. And Pat, you're up next. Pat, so
Yes.
what have you got? What kind of
Good
critter
morning.
have you got?
Well, rabbits in flowers,
Okay.
and I need to know how to get rid of them.
Oh, I thought maybe you had a tip for me.
Oh, no, I didn't have a tip.
Well, somebody earlier on recommended tying human hair around the flowers. I haven't tried that myself, but it may work. Rabbits are fortunately easily scared. So you can use a dog barker. You can borrow a dog just for a little while. You don't have to actually keep
Doesn't
a
seem to
dog.
bother.
Pardon?
Doesn't seem to bother.
Oh, really?
2 dogs in the yard doesn't bother.
Oh, come
Get
on.
new dogs. It's time for new dogs.
Okay, now, I've got another one also, deer in the yard also.
Deer are a tremendous problem. I'm actually writing a whole book now on deer.
Yeah, he has a whole section in this book on deer, and it's really interesting.
Yeah,
He separates deer into different categories even.
Yeah, I mean, you're lucky because some deer problems are even worse than just eating gardens.
Well, they're in our yard, and we have a newly planted windbreak.
Mm-hmm.
And, we started in 93 and finished it in 94, but they're up in our yard, something terrible. And we've got lots of other trees around here also.
And they're eating your flowers, your garden,
No, right now they're just in the yard.
just hanging out.
Well, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a little good news as far as deer goes. There's just a study released this past week that shows most Lyme disease, I know people worry about Lyme disease, comes from mice and not deer. The ticks are over 90% found on mice.
Wow.
So that's at least one saving grace about deer.
Didn't you say, though, in the book, Bill, that there's pretty much, I mean, you can try as much as you can with different things like human hair and hairballs and urine and all that, but unless you put up a full fence around it, the deer are probably going to get in.
Back.
Right, they're going to keep coming back.
I mean, I'd like to say that my book shows you a solution for everything, but it doesn't. You have to be willing to change and adapt. If hair works for a while and stops working, move to dried blood, and if that doesn't work, a dog barker or a bigger dog or fence off part of what you want to protect, or put out some corn on the side of your property just for the deer. And if they're going to come anyway, you might as well convince them to eat that.
Well, we're on the farm, and there's plenty of food around to forage.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
But they do seem to like the yard for some reason.
That's right.
And give them something that they may even like more. They're a problem. They really are a problem. And there's almost nothing you can do. Maybe, put up a sign that says, we love venison.
You find me the deer that can read it, okay?
Thanks, Pat. Well, you never know. Those deer could be pretty smart, can't they? In Bill's section in the book Outwitting Critters on Deer, he mentions Iowa. A high school science class in Iowa City was treated to a doe running through the classroom, and it crashed right through the window. And also a Davenport, Iowa radio station was interrupted by a deer that crashed through the station's window. We, of course, have had that here in town. Just a couple weeks ago, we had a deer just crash through an office building in the middle of Des Moines, in the middle of town.
Wow.
And that's what doesn't make any sense.
We had a deer in downtown Washington, D.C., I mean, in the nation's capital, just less than a mile away from the U.S. Capitol.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? And
It
we don't
really
picture
is.
that as even happening. I'm going to take Ron real quick because he's on the cell. Ron, what's your question for our guest, Bill Adler?
How do we get critter crawdads?
Get rid of crawdads?
Yep.
I didn't do anything on crawdads, so I have to ask for some suggestions from you.
Okay. Let's ask the listeners. Okay, Ron?
Okay.
Great, thanks. With us, we have Bill Adler from Washington, D.C. And, Bill, what are some of the legal considerations in trying to get rid of critters? Because I know there are certain kinds of traps you can't have, or like a lady called in here and said her neighbor was hiding under a sheet out in the yard to try to shoot at birds that were getting into things. What are some of the legal things you have to think of?
Oh, there are all sorts of legal issues. I was talking with a cameraman at the Rosie O'Donnell show before I was on. He told me that he transported 16 squirrels from his backyard. He captured them live to a local park. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Then he found out afterwards there was a fine of $1,000 per squirrel.
Oh, my gosh.
Fortunately, he hadn't gotten caught, but
It was the fine for trapping the squirrel?
a fine for transporting them
For
to the park.
transporting it to the park.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So even he was trying to do something nice, in terms of gentle, but would have been fined heavily for that.
Right. A lot of animals are protected. You can't harm many animals during particular seasons or at all. So you have to be careful about that. For example, a woman in a local Maryland suburb just this past week had left her car hood up as she was working on her car, and some birds nested in there, and they're little baby birds in there, and
Yeah.
she can't move her car for another month.
Oh, come on.
That's the rule. They're protected.
Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious. So you have to be careful. You have to be careful when you use certain toxins and poisons because they can harm people or unintended animals. If you put out a poison and a neighbor's dog eats it, you could be responsible.
Yeah, boy, that's a really good thing to think of. So you just got to be cautious and use your head when you're trying to get
Right.
rid
And
of
when
these
in doubt,
critters.
call the local animal protection people,
Yeah.
the Humane Society, and
Yeah.
they'll tell you the rules.
Our guest is Bill Adler, the author of the book Outwitting Critters. It's available in bookstores, and we've got the lines totally full for you, Bill. Let's go to Sue. And Sue, what's your critter that you've got a problem with?
Well, I don't have a bird's nest in my car, but I have them in all my hanging plants and reeds, outside reeds.
Oh,
It's almost like an aviary around.
so you're trying to get rid of them?
Pardon?
You want to get rid of them?
Well, it's disconcerting to have when I go to water my plants to have birds fly out.
Yeah, I know what you're
Right.
saying.
It's a little strange. Well, they won't be there very long. Once the babies are ready to move on, they'll abandon that nest.
But then they come back.
Well, they come back, half a year or a year later.
No.
They
No,
come back right
I-
away?
I seem to be a magnet for birds.
Oh,
building
my.
their nests.
What kind of birds?
Well, we have mourning doves, and I'm not a bird fancier, so I can't
Well,
really.
they probably
I know the
leave.
mourning doves.
I would guess they leave messes everywhere too, don't
Yes,
they?
they do.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about it.
Right.
So, Bill, you got any
They
ideas
must
for?
have been eating the chocolate extract.
It's really a problem that most people kind of like to have birds in their plants. But you can probably once they're gone, just get a little chicken wire and wrap it around the pot, maybe about 2 inches high, and that should work. Makes it difficult for the birds to get in. You might consider putting toothpicks in the soil. Won't harm the birds, but it will keep them from nesting there.
Or a suggestion that Amy here has is use fake birds. Stick some of those little fake birds you can buy at Michael's or something, at one of the little stores, and just wire them up there in the plants or the wreaths or whatever, and then the birds will think it's already occupied.
All right, thank you, Spike.
Okay. Bill, here I am giving advice.
But the thing is,
I know nothing about it.
you have to be willing to experiment.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no tried and true rule for
And
dealing.
take charge. Don't be afraid of them. You take charge. Hey,
Right.
it's your house, right?
Exactly.
Get that attitude going. Merlene, you're next. Merlene, what's your critter that you want to talk about?
Well, you were talking about outwitting them,
Right.
and I think, outwitted all of the silly rabbits.
Oh, good.
That get into my garden.
Tell us.
I go out and sprinkle flour onto those plants early in the morning when there's dew,
You mean like flour
like
that you
gold
cook with?
medal flour.
Oh, my gosh.
And I don't know. I would assume they don't like that pasty taste. They don't like that pasty stuff on their feet. And
That's a
they
great
don't come
idea.
back.
So you sprinkle it on the plants and then also around the garden?
Yeah, right. Just wherever there's enough moisture to hold it there.
And it doesn't affect the plants in any way?
No, it washes off the next time it rains.
And then you go out and put some more flour
So you
on.
go out and put some more on. Well, after they get to a certain size, the rabbits don't really like them. But when they're young and tender, they really go for them. And we actually saw a rabbit eating some of our green beans the other day.
Yeah.
So as soon as we could get around and get out there, we sprinkled flour, and he hasn't been back.
Great idea. Thanks, Merlene.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to Vince before we have to take a break. And, Vince, you have a question for our guest, Bill Adler. Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, I'm calling regarding rabbits also, but where I'm having a problem is rabbits in the wintertime chewing the shrubs virtually down to the ground.
Wow.
And I guess I haven't come up with a way to get rid of them.
So you have some very hungry rabbits.
Yeah.
Bill, you got any ideas?
Well, rabbits are tough. Rabbits are diggers. So if you can fence off the area, and you're going to put a fence in, make sure the fence is down at least 6 to 8 inches.
Well, you have to put it down that low.
Yeah.
So even if you put a small just metal fence around the shrubs,
They'll dig down.
you got to get it down low.
Yeah. A lot of people who keep pet rabbits and put fences around find that the rabbits escape. It kind of looks like they're escaping from a POW camp or something.
Wow. Vince, have you tried anything?
Well, no. I guess I've heard of like putting mothballs or something around, but that hasn't seemed to work for me. I guess I'm trying to look for something that I could either spray on or put out as more of a repellent rather than.
Now, the lady ahead of you, Merlene, suggested sprinkling flour.
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know how that would
I don't know
work
that.
in the winter,
In the winter, that may not last to get all mixed up with the snow. And,
yeah.
But I don't know. This is a tough one, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah, rabbits are hard because there are so many of them, for one thing. Just experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And try different concoctions. You might try getting a pepper spray, those mace pepper sprays, and spraying it around the shrubs.
Yeah.
And leaving that and see if that aroma deters them.
So try
for a while.
different aromas, yeah. Okay, give that a try, Vince.
Alrighty.
Yeah, one of the things that Bill mentioned on Rosie O'Donnell's show yesterday, we always hear about sticking Vaseline on the pole, on the Birdfeeder pole, so that squirrels can't climb up it. And Bill, you said add what to the Vaseline?
Red pepper.
Red pepper. Mix a little red pepper in with the Vaseline. And why?
Well, the Vaseline in the wintertime, actually, the Vaseline will freeze and they can scurry right up that. So the red pepper is obnoxious and keeps them away. And then if the Vaseline washes off, as it does, the red pepper smell and taste will stay there, and it will keep the squirrels or any other climbers off of whatever you want them to stay off of.
That's a great point. Our guest is Bill Adler, the author of Outwitting Critters and Outwitting Squirrels and a bunch of other outwitting books, only on Winsenburg on the Weekend. And Bill, our engineer Amy, said she has squirrels in her attic, kind of up above where the porch is, and she's afraid that if she cuts off the entrance that they're going to, die up there, Amy? I guess that's...
Well, I'm afraid that I'm going to block them in. I
yeah,
don't
that's
want that
right.
to happen either.
Any suggestions, Bill?
Well, that's tough. A lot of people do have that problem. The mothballs work. Anything that really reeks, mothballs, do a little wash down with ammonia. That's going to make a difference. Squirrels are very noise sensitive. So if you could get a radio and put it up there. I don't know if this show would work, but heavy metal.
Yeah, we're noisy enough, that's for sure. Heavy metal, no. No, WHO, news talk, that's what they need. At least educate them while they're up there, okay? Good idea, though, Bill. Let's go to the phone lines. Elmer, you're next. Elmer, what are you talking about today in terms of what kind of critter?
Basement.
Carefully, very, very carefully.
Skunk in the basement?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you mean by carefully?
Well, you know what skunks will do.
Well, yeah.
First of all, they bite. And that if you get bitten, I guess you're kind of lucky because before they bite, they spray. I would call a professional if you have a skunk in the basement.
I'll tell you how to do it.
Pardon?
I'll tell you how to do it.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
all right.
tell us.
You got a technique.
They can put a plank or something that they can get back up to the window.
Uh-huh.
Go down with ammonia, and like you say, be careful. Get around them and get them headed that way, and then spray a little ammonia. And if they don't move a little more, give them a little more ammonia.
You spray it on them like...
No, just the aroma of it.
Yeah, but aren't they getting nervous by that point?
Well, get the hell out of the road. No, you can use that on bears. I use it in Alaska. I've used it in Canada.
Are you not afraid of bears, Elmer?
No.
Oh, come on. Because in his book, he has a whole section on bears.
Yeah,
and
I
tell you, after reading that, I was scared.
You try to walk into the wind with ammonia sprayed at you, and I'll tell you, you're coughing and sputtering and getting the heck out of there.
So you're saying as long as you keep that ammonia with you, you're safe?
Well, I got a pint in each pocket of them squirt bottles.
Wow. Okay.
Well, how do you know when you're going to walk onto one?
Well, I don't normally see one down the street, but...
Well, no, I mean... Just
well, I know what you're
in
saying.
the woods or along the creek fishing.
Right. That's a good point.
No, and it'll even dogs. A dog that's nasty,
yeah.
you just give him a little,
Spray
don't put
ammonia.
it in his face unless he gets too cold.
Great. Thanks,
I'll
Elmer.
remember that.
And yeah, Bill, you do have a little fear of bears, I think, right?
Yeah, bears are, they're. It's basically a food issue with bears.
Right.
Keep the food away, and then bears will go someplace else. Once they get used to humans, they're not afraid, and why should they be?
What your book did say, though, is I believe that grizzlies are afraid of nothing, but other bears, if you kind of chase them, they'll go.
Most of the time, make loud noises, wave your arms, never get between the mother and her cubs. That's the kind of the golden rule with bears.
Right, I just don't want to test that, that's all.
I wouldn't either.
Dan, you're up next with our guest, Bill Adler. Dan, what's your question?
Yeah, I got little squinnies or ground squirrels in my backyard, and I'd like to know how to get rid of them.
Little ground, what kind of
Little ground
squirrel?
squirrels? Like little gopher type things, right?
Yeah, well,
They make holes?
yeah.
Okay. One technique is to get a cloth and soak it in olive oil and put it in the hole. And it will plug up the hole, and the olive oil will make it impossible for them to chew by, and they'll go someplace else. That's probably the simplest solution.
I don't understand the olive oil part.
Well, the olive oil, if you just put a rag in there, or towel or something along those lines, they'll chew through it.
Yeah.
But the olive oil won't, because the oil mats their fur, and they'll avoid it.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that somebody put mothballs down in the hole.
Yeah, that will work. That's another possibility. Not too many, because you don't really want to kill them. If,
Yeah.
you can
What if
avoid it.
what if there's a bunch of holes?
Then you plug up all the holes, or most of the holes.
All the ones you can find, at least.
Yeah, diggers can be harassed pretty easily. That includes not just squirrels, some kinds of squirrels, but gophers, voles, moles.
Yeah.
Loud noises. Have some parties out in your yard.
Okay.
Stomp around. That really can discourage them.
Okay.
Pack
Thanks,
the
Dan.
ground too.
Thanks for calling, Dan. Why olive oil? I mean, why that and not another oil?
Oh, well, actually, any oil will
Oh, it
do.
could be any oil.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were saying something. Maybe it's an Italian
Right,
squirrel or something.
Exactly.
Gene, you're up next. Gene, do you have a tip for us?
Hello.
Hi.
If you're ever doing primitive camping where they have an outhouse, for example,
Right.
a wonderful way to keep the flies out, and they're so, and also to keep the smell down, is to take moth crystals, not moth balls, but moth crystals. Put them in a little bag and hang them very high out of the reach of children. Keep the door closed. And in just the first day or so, how can I say this? There'll be nobody in there reading the catalog. But after that, after about the third day, it has a comparatively fresher smell in the outhouse.
And the flies are gone.
I do the same thing in our shed, and it keeps spiders down.
Spiders?
Uh-huh.
So they don't like the smell either.
Nothing likes the smell of
Okay.
moth crystals. It won't. I say it keeps them down. It doesn't keep them totally out. But the secret is to keep the thing closed up.
Yeah.
May I make a comment about the ammonia stuff?
Sure. Go ahead.
Ammonia, if you breathe too much of it, it can knock you out.
Right.
Right. That's why I recommend dilute quantities of it.
Very dilute. I had a sister who was using it to clean some stuff in the house, and she woke up in the hospital, never dreaming that she had that much
Oh, my
in.
gosh. Wow.
So it is a very highly toxic thing.
Yeah. Thanks, Gene. Trying to get a couple more quick calls in here. Ruth, you're up next. Ruth, what critter do you want to get rid of?
Well, I got rid of my cat, the
Oh.
neighbor's cat.
Okay, how'd you get rid of the neighbor's
well,
cat?
they, around the house where you have your flowers, there's no grass, and so they come in and leave their little piles, and it stinks and stinks and stinks. They dig up your tulips and stuff. Well, I got this, somebody told me about the orange peels. So for a month or two, we've been putting all our cut-up orange peels all around there, and there haven't been any more holes or any more things left since then for the last month or two.
Yeah, but wouldn't orange peels attract other things then?
I don't know. They don't. I don't see them attract anything else, and they're just anyway. The cats so far are gone. And
wow.
They're because they come in and they dig the holes and they leave piles of stuff, and then you go out and you go to dig in the dirt and you get your hands in it and your digger and it stinks.
What do you think of that, Bill?
It sounds like a technique that might work. I haven't tried it.
But now every time we eat some oranges, we just go ahead and chop up the peelings and throw them around the edge of the house because that's where it bothers us.
Good idea. Thanks, Ruth. Larry, what critter?
Yeah,
do you have?
hello.
What do you have a tip on?
Yeah, moles and gophers in your yard.
Okay.
I've tried, the smoke bombs, and I've tried peanuts and everything else.
Right.
and I had somebody tell me that use propane and gas them out.
Just the propane, not the fire.
Nope, just the propane.
How does it work?
It wiped out a whole field full of them. I guess it just kind of like filters through there, and it'd be almost like using the gas off a car.
Boy, that's amazing. That's amazing. And
Yeah,
there's no.
don't smoke around there or have
Well, I was going to
cigarettes.
say, yeah, you can't do anything else around there.
But it's very toxic, and it'll kind of like just gas them.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Larry. Let's get one more question in here from Ruth. You have a question for our guest, Bill Adler?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
My phone was static right
Okay,
then. I didn't
real
hear
quickly.
you.
We only have a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I also use mothballs like the other lady, but I use them in my flower beds to keep my dogs from laying among my flowers. Just scatter little round mothballs out there. I also use them. We have a cemetery next to the woods, and the deer are thick. Put them in your flower arrangements at the cemetery, and the deer don't mess up your flowers.
Great idea. Thanks, Ruth. Bill, it seems like mothballs are something we all need to go out and buy.
Sort of the universal antidote for critters.
Yeah, that or moth crystals. One more quick question, Bill. You kind of allude to this in your book. There are environmentalists and people out there who just think no animals should be touched. They should just be allowed to run wild and roam free. And what's your response to that?
Well, there's a philosophical component here. I mean, we have to be able to outwit these critters because if we can't, we have bigger brains. However, can we expect to get a man or woman to Mars? So it's helpful to the animals to know the bounds. When we can outwit them in humane ways, we don't hurt them. So it's not harmful to the animals to make them go someplace else where it's safer for them.
Yeah, and you're saying do it safely too. And you don't like to use a lot of pesticides and things like that. So
no, in most cases it's not necessary.
Yeah. Thanks so much, and congratulations on being on Rosie O'Donnell yesterday. Bill Adler. The book is Outwitting Critters, available in bookstores. See you next Saturday on Winsenberg on the Weekend.